President Mubarak has appointed a new vice president, but what do we know about Omar Suleiman? And is he someone that America can work with if Mubarak steps down? We're talking with John Bolton, former UN ambassador, who joins us from Washington. Mr. Ambassador, tell us, what do you know and what should we know, the insights about this new vice president?
Well, it's a very interesting choice. He's the former head of Egyptian intelligence. He has a military background, as does President Mubarak. Well known to the United States, has cooperated extensively with us on counterterrorism activities. Well known to the Israelis, working on their mutual concern about Hamas in the Gaza Strip, an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. So it's a very interesting move, and I think it demonstrates a real fundamental truth about Egypt, that the regime is not just President Mubarak, it's the military. And so in a way, this is a compromise that the demonstrators can take a look at, but it also shows the military is not going to be pushed out of its central position of power, even if President Mubarak ends up stepping down.
The military has traditionally been well regarded by most of the Egyptian people, even if their president has not. Are they going to read into this that this is a leader that they can put more confidence in than they do their current president, who they've had for the past 30 years?
Well, I think it's sort of an insurance policy both for Mubarak and for the military. I think Mubarak's going to continue to fight to stay on, but if he sees the point where he's going to have to leave, he's going to want an honorable, graceful, safe exit. And I think Suleiman would provide that to him. But I think also Suleiman is a man the military knows and can trust. And I think it's an indication that they're not simply going to back off for the demonstrators. They certainly don't want violent clashes with the demonstrators. I think what they're trying to do today is a show of force to get people back to their jobs and schools, but also an indication that they don't intend to allow the Muslim Brotherhood or other radicals to take advantage of the situation to their advantage.
There's some indication that the Muslim Brotherhood may, in fact, be helping to incite, even though we're seeing women in the streets and anything but the more radical levels of Islamic factions going on. But the Muslim Brotherhood, since the 1920s, have been very, very adamant in trying to create a whole new depth of Sharia law. Should we believe that the Muslim Brotherhood may, in fact, be behind a lot of the uprising, stirring it and pushing it and instigating it?
I think they're certainly involved. I think these demonstrations did begin as a reaction to what happened in Tunisia and the overthrow of the government there, and I do think that at the beginning they were a manifestation of social networking come to Egypt. But there's also no doubt that after the prayers on Friday, the Muslim Brotherhood mullahs called their followers into the streets, which is one reason why the demonstrations were so much larger and more violent. And there is evidence from Suez City and other cities that the Brotherhood has been involved in violence. So I think they're playing a very cagey game. I think they're trying to take advantage of the instability that the demonstration has caused. They're trying to get in with it, but without necessarily showing their hand or indicating that they're leading it.
President Obama has been a little bit maybe more reticent to get involved and weigh in at all. Is certainly not showing any significant support, and if anything, maybe showing a lack of support for Mubarak's government. When the uprising took place in Iran, a lot of people were hoping that he would show some support for the demonstrators, because that was clearly an indication of people wanting to overthrow an authoritarian government. What's different and why? Why isn't the president showing a more pointed point of view?
Well, I think for a long time we've failed to aid the Iranian opposition, and what happened after last year's fraudulent presidential election in Iran was just one more example of not helping the opposition. But we should remember, of course, that Mubarak and Egypt are allies of the United States, and we have a huge strategic interest. Whatever the outcome of these demonstrations in Egypt, we have a huge interest in preserving the stability of the Egyptian-Israel peace agreement and what that implies for the Israel-Jordan peace agreement, what it implies for the stability of other friendly Arab governments in the region. So normally you don't go around overthrowing allies, even if they are authoritarian. I think the president's public statement yesterday walked about the right line. I honestly wish it was about 1/3 the length of what it was, and I wish many other officials would stop commenting so volubly publicly. Stakes are high here. Information is uncertain. What really matters is what we're doing behind the scenes with the military, the intelligence services, and the leaders of the opposition groups that are legitimate and non-terrorist.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for your perspective.